Coronation Street fans see Jodie Ramsey's web of lies finally start to unravel next week, as the Platts discover she attacked Sarah, before a shocking find in her secret trinket box sparks even more trouble. As baby Harper is finally discharged from hospital, Shona and David ought to be on cloud nine. Instead, they're reeling from Sarah's claims about Jodie, and when the couple stumble across her hidden trinket box, the contents leave them horrified. Can the Platts survive another bombshell? With baby Harper due home, this should be a joyful new chapter for the Platts, begins our Corey insider. Unfortunately, there's little time for celebrations as Jodie's lies begin to unravel. But Shona's twisted sister is determined to talk her way out of trouble, and has another sick scheme up her sleeve. After being banged up for Theo Silverton's murder, Sarah comes clean to the cops about the events of that fateful night, including the timings of her assault at number 8. She names Jodie as her attacker, and Kit Green passes on the shocking news to the rest of the Platts. Understandably, they want answers. While Shona confronts her panicked sibling, David visits Sarah in prison, wanting to know why she kept quiet about Jodie, reveals our spy. Sarah insists Jodie can't be trusted. With nothing to lose, Sarah tells her brother about the trinket box that Jodie was so desperate to protect. She explains this was the reason Jodie whacked her over the head. Urged by Sarah to find the box and discover what Jodie is hiding, David is left with food for thought. After a trying day, a drained David and Shona decide to sleep on their problems and tackle them in the morning. However, with her parents snoozing upstairs, Lily creeps into the living room to have a sneaky session on her games console. Reaching beneath the sofa, she stumbles upon Jodie's elusive trinket box. The following day, delighted David and Shona put their worries aside to collect baby Harper from the hospital. It's been over 6 months since her premature birth, and Harper has been in hospital having life-saving treatment. Brave Harper has had a long road to recovery, and now she's finally home where she belongs. Her proud parents are touched when they return to a surprise party thrown by the family, although Jodie is notably absent following the recent revelations. But guess who shows up as the celebrations get underway? Jodie walks in, to stunned silence, warns our spy. She's obviously been grilled by the authorities about Sarah's claims, and boldly declares she's admitted everything to the police and is facing a court case. In classic Jodie fashion, she cheekily asks if she can move back in while she awaits her fate. Will owning up to the assault and apologizing for her actions mean all is forgiven? That's the big question, and while the Platts regroup to discuss their next steps regarding Jodie, Lily waits until everyone is out of earshot and collars her auntie for a quiet word about the contents of the trinket box. Before long, David gets wind of what Lily saw, and Jodie has to think fast when he asks her about it. Jodie has her work cut out as she tells her side of the story, doing her best to keep the Platts on side. It's clear the family will take some convincing, though. Can Jodie manage it? Weatherfield has seen its fair share of secrets, betrayals, and shocking crimes over the years, but one mystery has kept everyone on edge: the brutal attack on Sarah Platt. While suspicion has shifted from one resident to another, a new twist is about to change everything. The truth surrounding Jodie is finally set to explode, and the consequences could tear apart several lives forever. For weeks, Sarah has struggled to move on from the terrifying ordeal. Although physically recovering, the emotional scars have remained impossible to ignore. Every unfamiliar face, every unexpected knock at the door, and every strange noise has reminded her of the night her life changed forever. David Platt has stood firmly by his sister, refusing to let the case go cold. He has repeatedly insisted that whoever attacked Sarah is still walking free, and he's determined to uncover the truth no matter how long it takes. Meanwhile, Jodie has managed to stay one step ahead. Calm, composed, and always ready with an explanation, Jodie has successfully convinced almost everyone that she had nothing to do with Sarah's ordeal. Whenever awkward questions surfaced, she cleverly redirected attention elsewhere, allowing other residents to become the focus of police interest. But beneath that confident exterior, cracks have started to appear. Jodie has become increasingly paranoid. She constantly checks who's watching her, nervously deletes messages from her phone, and becomes defensive whenever anyone mentions the investigation. Her unusual behavior hasn't gone unnoticed, especially by Kit Green, whose instincts tell him something isn't quite right. Initially, there isn't enough evidence to justify another interview. However, Kit begins quietly piecing together inconsistencies in Jodie's timeline. Witness statements don't quite match what she originally told officers. CCTV footage places her much closer to the scene than she admitted. Although the images aren't clear enough to prove guilt, they're enough to raise serious questions. At the same time, Sarah experiences a breakthrough. During a counseling session, she remembers a tiny detail from the night of the attack, a distinctive bracelet she briefly noticed during the struggle. At first, she dismisses the memory as unreliable. But everything changes during a gathering at the Rovers' return. Across the crowded pub, Sarah notices Jodie wearing the exact same bracelet. The room suddenly feels silent. Sarah freezes. Jodie notices her staring and instinctively pulls her sleeve down to cover the jewelry. It's a split-second reaction, but Sarah catches it. David immediately realizes something has happened. Outside the pub, Sarah explains what she saw. David encourages her to tell Kit straight away, believing it could finally provide investigators with the breakthrough they've desperately needed. Kit listens carefully. Although a bracelet alone isn't enough to charge anyone, it adds another suspicious piece to an already growing puzzle. He decides it's time to dig deeper. Police obtain additional CCTV footage from nearby businesses that had previously been overlooked. Using updated enhancement technology, investigators discover someone matching Jodie's appearance leaving the area moments after Sarah was attacked. The footage still isn't crystal clear. But combined with witness accounts and Sarah's recollection, it becomes impossible to ignore. Meanwhile, Jodie begins making mistakes. Her nerves cause her to lash out at friends who ask innocent questions. She skips work unexpectedly and is seen desperately searching through rubbish bins behind a local cafe after apparently throwing something away by accident. Unknown to her, Carla Connor witnesses the strange behavior. Although Carla doesn't immediately know what she's looking at, she later tells Lisa Swain exactly what she saw. That information proves invaluable. Police recover a damaged burner phone from the waste collection. Forensic specialists manage to extract deleted messages. One particular conversation immediately catches detectives' attention. The texts reveal Jodie frantically discussing, keeping the story straight, with an unknown contact shortly after Sarah's attack. While the messages never directly admit guilt, they strongly suggest a coordinated cover-up. Kit decides it's finally time. Officers arrive to question Jodie once again. This time, the atmosphere is completely different. Jodie attempts to remain calm, insisting the investigation is wasting valuable police resources. But as detectives present each new piece of evidence, her confidence slowly disappears. First comes the CCTV. Then the witness statements. Then the recovered messages. Finally, Kit places a photograph of the bracelet on the interview table. Jodie's face says everything. She struggles to explain why she repeatedly lied about her whereabouts. Her answers become increasingly inconsistent. Realizing she's losing control, she abruptly ends the interview and demands legal representation. News spreads around Weatherfield almost instantly. Residents gather outside Roy's Rolls and the Rovers return, desperately trying to piece together what's happening. Speculation runs wild. Some refuse to believe Jodie could be responsible. Others admit they'd always had doubts. Bethany is horrified that someone so close to the community may have hidden such a dangerous secret. David becomes convinced justice is finally within reach. Sarah, however, feels conflicted. Part of her desperately wants answers. Another part fears reliving every terrifying moment once again. As investigators continue examining Jodie's past, another shocking revelation comes to light. Several weeks before Sarah's attack, Jodie had secretly argued with her over information that threatened to expose an important secret. Until now, nobody knew the confrontation had taken place. The discovery provides investigators with a possible motive. Suddenly, the attack appears far less random than originally believed. The pressure becomes unbearable for Jodie. Unable to cope with growing suspicion, she makes a reckless decision. Late one evening, she secretly meets the mysterious person from the recovered text messages. What she doesn't realize is that police have already been monitoring the location. Officers observe the tense meeting from a distance. Although they cannot hear every word, they clearly witness Jodie desperately pleading with the other individual not to abandon their agreed story. The conversation ends abruptly as both realize they're being watched. One runs. The other freezes. Police quickly move in. Jodie is taken into custody once again. This time, escape seems impossible. Back at the station, detectives reveal they now know the identity of her secret contact. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Jodie finally begins to crumble. Tears replace arrogance. Silence replaces excuses. She realizes the carefully constructed web of lies that protected her for so long is collapsing around her. Sarah waits anxiously at home with David and Bethany, wondering whether justice will finally arrive. Hours later, Kit knocks on the Platt's door. His expression says everything before he even speaks. The investigation has reached a major breakthrough. While legal proceedings are only beginning, detectives are now confident they understand exactly what happened on the night Sarah was attacked. For Sarah, it's an emotional moment. The fear that has dominated her life for weeks is finally beginning to lift. She knows the road to recovery remains long, but learning the truth gives her something she thought she'd lost forever: hope. Meanwhile, the rest of Weatherfield reels from the shocking developments. Friends question whether they ever truly knew Jodie. Neighbors replay old conversations, wondering how many warning signs they missed. Trust across the street is shattered once again. Yet, as one mystery appears to be solved, another begins. Who was Jodie's mysterious accomplice? Why were they so desperate to keep the truth hidden? And could the attack on Sarah be connected to an even bigger secret waiting to explode? As Coronation Street heads into another dramatic chapter, viewers can expect emotional confrontations, heartbreaking confessions, and shocking twists that promise to keep Weatherfield talking for weeks to come. One thing is certain: Jodie's time hiding in the shadows has finally come to an end, and the fallout from Sarah's attack is only just beginning. Coronation Street airs on weeknights at 8:30 p.m. on ITV1 and streams on ITVX.